the Handmaid's Tale series, one of the most difficult characters to understand has to be Fred Waterford, a person who's responsible for many things going wrong in the series.
What did you do when our values eroded? When the birth rate was plummeting?
Despite him not wanting those things to happen in the first place. The character is portrayed by Joseph Fiennes, and despite seeing him hang in the 4th season, he has been confirmed to return, and today we're gonna talk about why that is. Who is Fred Waterford? Commander Fred Waterford is the head of the household where June Osborne is enslaved as the handmaid Offred, and he's the husband of Serena Joy. In the latest 4th season, we see Fred meeting his demise at the hands of his former handmaid, June, as she arranges to salvage her own. Fred was taken to a location in the unclaimed territory, somewhere between Canada and Gilead, by Commander Nick Blaine, where he was beaten to death and hanged. Fred is tall with brown hair and beard, and soft brown eyes in his early 40s with generally handsome looks. He's often seen in a suit. On the outside, he looks like a well-meaning man who often comes across a victim of Gilead, a place he was supposed to be involved in the design and the establishing of the property, but not running it as the commander. His way of treating his wife and everyone else around him to be below him is the time when he shows his cruel side. Fred likes for others to see him as a kind man, thus he has forgiven Serena and Offred several times, making the viewers believe that he has a soft side, which is entirely not true. He has a weakness for Offred, and it can be seen he has broken many rules for her throughout the series. He can also be ruthless as well. A prime example is his support in the punishment of his wife when she read a book.
No.
Bruce Miller confirms Fred's return. The 4th season finale of the hit dystopian series saw June in a much different spotlight.
Cheers.
A finale that shocked the viewers, and Bruce Miller is here to tell you about his detailed reaction to it and what is to come for Fred's character in the 5th season. We saw Fred meeting his end at the hands of the fearless leader June Osborne, as well as her fellow handmaids. The finale shocked us all, but in a way, we got the gruesome end, an end we have all been waiting for. Miller talked about shooting Fred's final scene and whether the character could return in the future, the villain we all hated in the past 4 seasons. Miller was quick on his feet and said that it's certain that we will all see Fred again.
You're not going to Geneva. What are you talking about?
Miller also added that he's a great actor and the last scenes were bittersweet to film, but he was proud of how things have ended at the 4th season finale. Although Fred is truly dead, given the trauma that June suffered because of him, it seems very likely that his horrific acts, as well as his death, will haunt the fearless leader for quite some time in the future. Miller also added that Fred's death was a natural continuation of June's story, so it makes sense that Fred would appear in a flashback of some sort in the 5th season, as he clearly can't be forgotten anytime soon. He had a much larger impact than some other characters in the series, an intricate way of saying, so let's dive a little deeper into what Miller meant in the interview. Why Fred will return. Commander Fred Waterford has been the main antagonist of the series so far, and his influence in the series is far from over. As we said before, he got served his justice by June Osborne and her fellow handmaids. However, the showrunner of the series, Bruce Miller, says that Fred is necessary to return in the 5th season in one way or another, as he's the one to give both June and Serena closure.
You're off to the airport?
Yes. I'll return a free man.
While the earlier season of the show follows June's imprisonment at the Waterford household in Gilead, the 4th season instead focused on how June chooses to implement her freedom after she leaves Gilead's borders. When June escapes Aunt Lydia's custody in the 3rd season, her first instinct is to find one of the more radical resistance groups and help kill Gilead soldiers. After she gets smuggled on a boat to Toronto by Moira, June attempts to make Fred pay for his crimes against her by holding him accountable at the court the legal way. When the Canadian government decides to grant Fred amnesty in exchange for information about Gilead's infrastructure, however, June brokers the deal that gives her the right to kill Fred herself on unoccupied land between Gilead and Canada, which, as we said before, eventually does. Joseph Fiennes, the actor who plays Fred, needs to reprise his role and show the impact his character has over June and Serena even after his death. The most reasonable way Fred could return in Season 5 is through a representation of June's trauma, with her revenge making Fred feel the same fear she felt under his abuse. While Fred's violent death might have felt satisfying to the viewers, June doesn't seem to get closure at all. When she returns to Toronto, she hugs her daughter Nicole goodbye as she can't move on and live a happy life with her family now that Gilead changed her for good. Because of the violence she showed towards Fred in her vengeance, it can be seen that her time in Gilead changed her. The series reveals that the years of abuse in Gilead taught June to be vicious. When she begins to process her behavior in Season 5, it will present the opportunity to bring Fred back either through proper flashbacks from June's memories or by haunting her in the present as a physical manifestation of the trauma caused. Another way in which we might see Fred return in the 5th season is through some flashbacks of Serena's and her happier memories with him before she went on to despise him for what he did while being the head of the household where she and the others were all below him. The way Fred saw them all, especially her. While she orchestrated Fred's arrest through her contact with Mark Twello at the end of Season 4, her interest became aligned with Fred's during their imprisonment throughout the Season 4. After Serena learns of her pregnancy, she's determined to keep Fred away from her baby, which is very reasonable until Fred convinces her that June's testimony could prevent Serena from being a mother to her son. In the 10th episode of the 4th season, Serena even appears to be planning a future with Fred when she tells Twello that she wants to start looking for a home for their nuclear family. However, now that Fred is dead and can't interfere with her agenda, Serena may look back on her happier days with Fred and of the time when they were dreaming about building a family together. While the return of Fred Waterford in Season 5 of The Handmaid's Tale could show Fred's impact on June and Serena even after his death in the latest season, however, his absence could alternatively have the same effect. Nevertheless, even if all the flashbacks of Serena and June are not there, his influence over the last couple of years in Gilead could have some bearing on how things will be done in Season 5. The way he did things in his time, ways which would bring back memories to both June and Serena and haunt them for a long time. June will likely have to deal with the moral consequences of killing him, and Serena will likely use his death to her advantage to play the victim and be set free from her confinement in Canada. Nevertheless, Fred's character is bound to return in the upcoming season in one way or another, bringing all sorts of difficulties with him for many of the characters in the series. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what are your expectations about the series going forward, and Fred's journey in the future of the series. Where do you see him? And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.